What's the purpose of each stage in your pipeline for contacting events? So whenever you're contacting events, if you want to get hired, you need to have that pipeline. I talk about this all the time. The pipeline is incoming, questions, quote, contract, closed. And before incoming, you're still qualifying the leads. So you find the events, you contact them to qualify, and then the ones who are interested, it goes into incoming, questions, quote, contract, closed. Every stage of the pipeline has a purpose, and you need to know what that purpose is. So in the beginning, let's say you found 100 events. Well, the next stage is to contact those events. What's the purpose of contacting those events? When you send out that initial email, what are you trying to do? You're not trying to actually get them to give you 20 grand or however much you charge just right there and then. Nobody's going to read an email from someone who's unknown, just read it on their phone, and the speaker's talking about their amazing topic. They're an amazing speaker. Nobody's going to be like, all right, let me give this guy 10 grand. Let me give this speaker 15 grand. Nobody's going to do that. Okay. So the beginning, the purpose of you contacting them is to qualify them. And when you qualify them, it goes to the incoming. The incoming is the opportunity. This is where you've pitched the event, you pitch them to qualify, you pitch the event, and then they say, well, what do you charge? So now you're going on to the next stage of the pipeline, which is to ask the questions, right? So once you ask the questions, the next stage is a quote phase. And you have to remember each stage has a purpose. Each thing you do, what's the purpose behind it? When you send an email out and you're pitching them in the email, the purpose is not to get them to pay you right there and then. The purpose of that one email is to simply get them to go to your website, to say like, hey, watch the videos on the website. You're going to be absolutely amazed. I mean, it's going to be, you thought all these other speakers were good. You haven't seen me because I wear purple, son. So the purpose of your email is simply to get them to click on the link to your website. And so because you remember this, what you type in the email changes a lot. So instead of saying like, oh, let's just see if I'm a great match for your event, instead of saying some weak things like that, you simply ask them like, what did you think of the videos? Because remember, the purpose of your email is to get them to your website. Once they express the interest, you're pushing them through the pipeline as fast as possible. Like you got to remember, it's incoming, questions, quote, contract, closed, and you're pushing them through as fast as possible. So once you quote a price, let's say they ask for a price, you ask questions, now you quote them a price. What's the next stage after you quote? The next stage is to send them the contract. So in your email, when you say it's going to be $15,000 for the presentation, you don't just stop there. You don't just say it's going to be $15,000 for the presentation. Would you like to schedule a call? You don't say something dumb like that. You say it's going to be $15,000 for the presentation. Do I send the contract to you or to somebody else? So remember the purpose. The purpose is to push them through the pipeline. The next stage after the quote phase is the contract phase. And then after the contract, the next stage is closed, and a closed deal is basically you have the money now. So after you send the contract, now you're simply focused on the deposit. So you got to remember, like, what's the purpose of each stage of the pipeline? And you have to stay focused. You can't just get off that pipeline. You can't say like, okay, yeah, it's going to cost $10,000. I would love to schedule a time to talk with you on the phone about the presentation. What? I'm going to slap you if you do that. If you do that, I'm going to pimp slap you, because once again, it just comes down to you quote the price. The next stage is contract. And you got to remember what each stage is and what each purpose is to each stage. So like I said, in the beginning, you find the events. That's all you do. You just find the events. Then you have to qualify them. In order to qualify them, you have to contact them, and you send them an email or make a call or whatever, but you have to qualify them. Once they're qualified, they become an incoming opportunity. And so the next stage is questions, quote, contract, closed. So just remember that, remember the purpose to each stage of your pipeline. Just split it up into small details. Like, I'm going to send this email out, and what do I want them to do with this email? I want them to click on the link to the website. That's all I want them to do. After they go to the website is what's going to sell me. That's what's going to make them like hella impressed by me. Now they're going to come back to me and say like, yes, well, what do you charge? And then bam, you push them through the pipeline the entire way. So remember, each stage of your pipeline, and you guys will just get booked more often. Like you'll just naturally get more gigs than every other speaker. You can just be like, "What up, son? How's your gig going? How's your speaking career going? Mine's going pretty good because I got a pipeline." So that's what you want to do, and brag about it too. I lost the remote for a second.